weird. Hey, everybody. We're back with the author of The Situation Room, George Stephanopoulos. Let's talk about debates. Okay, you've moderated.
Yes, they're gonna happen.
You've moderated debates.
I think since I'm being sued, I'm not going to be moderating this one this time around.
But are you surprised? Because I was a little surprised that they were going to happen. I was surprised that Biden would dignify Trump by offering to meet him.
I was surprised, especially after, and you were talking about it before, that Chris Wallace debate 4 years ago, just the worst presidential debate in American history. I was surprised it's happened again. Interesting move by Biden, kind of a bold move by Biden. I do think that the rules he's put in place could make a difference.
I love them. No audience, in a studio,
mic goes off.
And when your time's up, the mic goes off.
That's
a loss of power.
Yeah, and it will be interesting to see. I mean, I know that both sides have accepted it now. I wonder if at the end of the day, with those rules, if those rules are really in place, if the debate really happens. But I think those rules are essential.
Would you want to moderate that debate?
Oh, sure.
What would be like your first question to both men? Like, what's the question they both had to answer?
Who won the last election? I hope that's the first question.
Okay, the new book is called, as I said before, The Situation Room. It's about how presidents have used the Situation Room in moments of crisis. Before we get into that, we hear the name a lot. What exactly is the Situation Room?
It's actually a series of rooms now in the basement of the White House. It was created by John F. Kennedy in 1961 after, you might remember, the Bay of Pigs, the failed invasion of Cuba. He was really pissed off at the CIA and the Joint Chiefs, and he wanted his own stream of information coming into the White House.
Oh, because he thought it was being filtered in a way that wasn't allowing him to make the best decisions.
Exactly.
Wow.
So he sets up the Situation Room after the Bay of Pigs, and it's been in the White House ever since. It's changed a lot. I worked for President Clinton, and even up to the time that I was there in the 90s, it was nothing to look at all. It was like a conference room in the Poconos. And now I walk.
It had a heart-shaped tub in it?
Yes, it did. But I got to see it last August, just before they revealed the renovation to the world, and now it blows you away.
Everything in the government has an abbreviation or a nickname. Like, Secretary of Defense is SecDef. Where is the SecDef in the sitch? Like, where is the SecDef?
In my time, the SecDef was in the sit room.
The sit room.
In the sit room. Now, the SecDef is in the whizzer.
And when he's done with the whizzer, he goes to the Situation Room?
Right.
White House Situation Room.
WHSR. And I didn't like it either. And until I started doing this book, I always called it the sit room. And apparently sometime at either the end of Bush or George W. Bush or the beginning of the Obama administration, the younger kids started to call it whizzer. And now that's what they call it. I can't do it.
Well, you say that how presidents handle themselves in the Situation Room says a lot about their presidency and certainly about their foreign policy. How many people did you talk to? How many different administrations did you talk to?
I talked to about 120 people, mostly these Situation Room duty officers who are the patriots of the patriots in the United States government, the most impressive people you'll ever want.
And they're always down there?
They have, starting out under Kennedy, the one guy did a 24-hour shift. He worked for one day and would take 2 days off. Now they work 12-hour shifts. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're always there. It's manned 24/7, 365 days a year. They're the front lines.
The president can pick up the phone and say, what's going on in Bogota?
Well, most presidents do pick up the phone and call down or get calls up. Johnson called all the time. That's one of the interesting things about former President Trump. He didn't call down to the room hardly at all. He hardly used it at all. And I actually found out as I was researching, he had one of the most unusual tasks ever required for the Situation Room. He would have them collect, not tapes of what was going on in the news, but he had them collect the chyrons, the little banners that go across the bottom of the screen from news programs, mostly from Fox News.
That would just say, Navy SEALs in Iran or something.
That's what he wanted collected from then, mimeographed and brought up to his office. I have no idea why. No, I still don't. That's what he paid attention to.
You talked to 120 people through all these administrations. What's the craziest meeting ever in the Situation Room?
Far and away a meeting that Jimmy Carter had. I saw one line in his diary from May 8th, 1980, and it said, had a meeting in the Situation Room about parapsychology, longitude, latitude, etc. I saw parapsychology in the Situation Room, and I did everything with my team that I possibly could to find out what happened.
That means psychics.
We finally found a guy named Jake Stewart, who was his naval aide, probably 85 years old now, and he told the most amazing story. To set the scene, May 8th, 1980 was 2 weeks after the failed rescue mission to get all the Iran hostages. Jimmy Carter's presidency is crippled. It looks like he's going to lose to Ronald Reagan. So he calls Jake Stewart, along with the First Lady, who is a big believer in psychics, and a guy named Uri Geller. Remember Uri Geller, the guy who used to bend spoons?
Bend spoons, yeah.
And Jake Stewart gave him a 45-minute briefing on something called Operation Grill Flame, which was actually a US government program, CIA, DIA, in the 1970s, 80s, where they used psychics who would sit in dark rooms, and they did what they called remote viewing, imagining what's happening around the world and trying to anticipate events. After at the end of the 45 minutes, Carter didn't say a word, took out his notepad, wrote one word on the notepad and slid it across the table. The word was hostages. And he said, "Can you do anything?" He was just hoping that somehow these remote viewers could tell them where the hostages were so they might be able to do another rescue operation. Of course, it didn't work, but that's how desperate he was.
And that's in here?
Yeah.
Well, George, thank you so much for being here. The Situation Room is available now. George Stephanopoulos, everybody. We'll be right back with comedian Michelle Buteau.